I have here in my possession exactly 2 Mario hats. The first one is this one. It was cheap, it shipped in 2 days from Amazon, and frankly, it looks just like the hat that Mario actually wears. If you were doing a Mario Halloween costume, this is what you need. But this Mario hat cost more than twice as much. It took 3 weeks to ship from Poland, and even after washing it, it has a smell that I can only describe as motor oil adjacent. So, why is it that if this is the platonic ideal of the Mario hat, that I so much prefer this uncanny nightmare sitting on my head? As more and more beloved characters enter the public domain, I anticipate that we'll continue to see more quote-unquote subversive twists on these characters like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. But what I find much more interesting than these intentional pieces of parody are official pieces of media from the pasts of these characters. Things like this Donald Duck cartoon where he's a Nazi. Things that would be unthinkable for the brands that represent these characters today. I'm not the first person to make this comparison, but it's kind of like the difference between Sharknado and The Room. Sharknado holds no appeal for me because it's essentially just a $2 million lol so random joke, whereas something like The Room was made with the intention of being real cinema. And the friction between that sincerity and the absurdity of the movie itself is what makes it so interesting. And so perhaps the best example of this phenomena in video games is the history of Super Mario. Nintendo is infamously litigious and strict about their brand control, and perhaps this is why uncanny and weird old pieces of Mario media hit so hard. The more that they try to establish Mario as a clean, marketable, sterilized character voiced by Chris Pratt, the funnier it makes these old cartoons where Mario gets an heirloom gun from his grandparents. And so, to preserve the legacy of a weirder, and dare I say better Mario, I present to you Super Mario Oddities, a show in which I inflict upon my colleagues some of the finest Mario media ever made. And for our inaugural episode, why not start where it all began, with one of the very first films ever made based on a video game, 1986's Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach.
That was the full title. What was this?
Yeah.
Super Mario, the cooked
Great
by a
Mission.
dog.
Rescue Princess Peach, and the screaming dog is there too.
And the screaming dog is there as well, yeah.
Okay. Why do you do that?
What the
Who
fuck?
the fuck is that?
You don't remember this classic Mario character?
Why didn't they use a Goomba?
That's
That's a dog?
That's not a dog.
That's a dog.
So this came out like after Mario 1, it sounds like. But in this, they live in like a border town in the American South, and they own a grocery store, and Luigi is some sort of like mining prospector.
That's the thing I really like about this movie, is that because like the whole point of the Mario oddity thing of watching these things is that they're so strange and like abstracted from what Mario has become as a brand. And I think perhaps the best example of that is that they run a grocery store, and like Luigi comes in, Mario's playing video games in the intro, and Luigi comes in with his like you said, Dickensian candle stub and sleeping cap. And yeah, it doesn't feel like, it feels like Mario, but it does not feel like the Mario that we know in 2024. And that's why I love this movie. Is it just, even when you see familiar Mario things, the context in which they're presented feels so alien.
Yeah. Which, considering how like codified everything is now, 40 years almost later, like you wouldn't dare have like the Cheap's lips be the wrong size. You know what I mean? Whereas in this, I don't know, he's playing like some weird like runner game at the start that's not even a Mario game. And then Princess Peach turns up. Like the consistency of the story I'm still baffled by, because they eventually go into this magical kingdom, but the setup of the whole thing is him playing video games at nighttime, and then Peach comes through the television.
Yeah.
And knows who Mario is, but Mario does not know who she is. And in their realm, Mario is like a prophesized hero that will come to like rescue the princess. To the extent that they have like Mario ramen with his face on it and shit. It's just, it makes no sense at all.
What compelled him to do that? Nothing up to this point has... Wait, what?
Fuck is that? Ice cream?
It is!
Oh, there's ice cream. It's ramen.
It's ramen. Oh, it's ramen! Holy
It's got
my
him
God.
on it. It's got him on it. When I finished this movie the first time, there was a handful of things that I like. The dog screaming is something that I
pretty
think
good.
about almost on like a daily basis now.
What the fuck?
Fucking dog, man.
He's He's
screams.
clearly saying a full sentence, but it's just screams.
It's just screaming. I'm curious what else like stood out to you guys from this.
Dude, Peachy-chan, right away.
愛しておるのですよ、ピーチちゃん。
Peachy-chan.
Oh,
ね
God.
私をこんなひどい目に遭わせるはずがないわ。ねえ、ピーチちゃん。ピーチちゃん。しないでご機嫌直して。
Peachy-chan.
じゃあ。
Peachy-chan.
Peachy-chan.
Yeah, Bowser's character is very odd in this. He's kind of like I don't even know how to describe him. He's like a clear heel character, like a kind of like over the top villain, but he's so like vulnerable or something. Like he's like effeminate sometimes and vulnerable and like sad and scared. He's so desperate to please Peach too. Like he's doing the transformation thing to amuse her and stuff.
She's inventing Pokemon before they're
Holy
around. Whoa.
my God.
Pokemon.
Let's go. Let's go. All these great ideas they had for Mario 2, and they didn't pick up on any of them.
I know, these all could have been bosses. The Bowser thing reminds me a lot of Super Mario RPG is one of my favorite pieces of Mario media because in it, Bowser is very, like... So in Super Mario RPG, Bowser becomes an ally, which is not a spoiler because the game is incredibly old and also it's in all the promo material that he's a character. But part of the story is that there is a larger big bad in the world of Super Mario RPG, and so Bowser is like dispossessed from his dominion as the main villain. And so there's a lot of subtext of him being like, I like lost my army, my forces are scattered to the wind, I like don't have power, but he's too proud to admit it. So he's constantly being like, if I recall correctly, when Bowser joins your party, there's a thing that's like you joined Bowser's party. Like even the UI stuff won't admit that he's in like a low status position.
Right, it's cute.
And I feel like this taps into that same element of Bowser that I really like, which is that he's like, he's a villain, but he's so fallible and so like human on some level. Like he kind of sucks at being a villain, and I think he's aware of it, but he like won't let on that he's aware of it.
Yeah, it's a very common trope of like Mario RPG or any narrative Mario thing, like the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. Bowser kind of sucks, and most of the video games that aren't the mainline Mario Bros. Games, he kind of sucks. Like they always kind of lean on that joke of Bowser's the worst possible villain. They always find a way to make him like a loser in the storytelling version of Mario stuff. I think it's very funny.
Yeah, I think they do a good job of that in this because you kind of like he's pretty pathetic in this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's big and strong and powerful and like he blows fire out of his mouth, but ultimately he's just like sad and alone, you know? I mean, I guess like that's kind of the premise of Mario is he's capturing Peach to be his lover because he's so desperate to have companionship.
Lover. Oh my God, I've never thought about it in those terms before. His lover.
A little formal.
Peachy-chan.
Peachy-chan.
I mean, the whole thing is like turned up to 11. Like Luigi has two modes, two gears. He's either like desperately crying and screaming, or he's incredibly excited about gold. Like Bowser's character is just like the absolute most pathetic thing in the world. All of the interactions with like the various enemies and friends you meet along the way that are like mostly based on Mario enemies, but sort of loosey-goosey. Like there's a lot of Lakitu in this movie. Like there's a whole section with Lakitu, which I felt like I've learned more about. I didn't know Lakitu could like control the weather like a magi. I guess what's cool about this is that like when this came out, you know, there was no 3D version of what this world was, right? There was just like this very flat, here is what you're seeing. And then this cartoon was like, okay, we're going to show you the depth of this world, right? Before Mario 64 has come out, or even like an isometric looking Mario or whatever. Like, this is what's going on. And it's the ways in which it's like sort of, it's kind of like the way in which modern day religion interprets the Bible or whatever. You get like it sort of just there's like a drift that sort of happens, right?
You're not wrong.
And like and like the power ups is a good example of this, right? Where there's like, oh, there's all these power ups in the game, right? There's like the fire flower, and there's the invincibility star, and there's the mushrooms that make you go big. And then the way that this like tackles it is by having like fields of these mushrooms. But then it's not that there's ones that make you big, but there's also ones that make you laugh. God, Luigi has two gears. He's just like, he's either super pissed off or manically happy.
Well, he's eating laughing shrooms.
He just experienced ego death. What do you want him to do?
Oh,
He's having ego death.
There you go. There it is. There it
This
is.
is classic mushroom experience.
Yep.
I've been here, dude.
He's literally out in the desert eating mushrooms. Christ.
This is such drug logic. It's like, oh man, you're
He
too
makes
high.
downers and uppers like that.
Yeah. It's the Mario speedball. Moments like that, and moments like the weird like dream sequence where Mario is wearing like a prom tuxedo and is dancing, and like he
One of the several musical numbers that are in this.
Oh,
for
that's
a lot of it.
God
That's my
knows what
favorite
reason.
part
Yeah.
of this movie for whatever reason. Those songs were straight up jamming.
Oh, I love this Mario level. Wait, the parallaxing is weird there.
yeah, it was like in the wrong order.
Yeah.
Whoa.
What's happening?
All your favorite Mario levels represented in this movie.
Oh,
Disco World.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that
Cubism World, Mexico World.
Yeah. Dolly World.
Yep.
Yeah.
The moment during the boss battle at the end with Bowser, where Mario grabs his tail and spins in a circle and throws him, and that's how he defeats him. I would be shocked if that appears in any other piece of Mario media earlier than 1986.
Dude, you got to Pepe Sylvia this. You got to get the red twine out, and you need to start connecting some dots and figure out where did this originate from? Did this anime create the Bowser throw?
It's gotta be. It's like I cannot imagine that it happened earlier than 1986, and then it just like it pops in, and then also like the not only the throw for Mario 64, but also the Bowser trying to marry Peach is like in the Mario games he's capturing Peach, but you know in the original NES Mario game he's not like like I have to interrupt the wedding to I have to stop a wedding.
Oh, really?
But in Super Mario RPG, there is a wedding that you're trying to interrupt. It's a little different.
There's weddings in loads of them, though, right? There's a wedding in Galaxy, I think, or Odyssey, maybe. Odyssey, I think.
Yeah, Odyssey.
Yeah,
yes.
Odyssey, yeah.
So the wedding thing is definitely, yeah, you're right. But if that wasn't in one, then yeah. Can we talk about some of the stuff that they clearly did not take from this movie? One being the Goombas talking, and maybe the more important one is what the fuck is going on with these mushroom people?
Oh yeah, they're like creepy little aliens in this with little beady black eyes, and they're also weirdly like in my mind the toads in Mario they're cute and small and kind of diminutive, but they're adults, right? Like Toad,
Yeah.
the famous Toad, Toad. He's an adult. He's not a
They're like-
child, even
Yeah,
though
they're
he's small.
like Smurfs or like
Yeah.
or like the seven dwarfs. They're small things.
They're just little, but in this they seem to be quite like they're like childlike. They're like pixies or something, where they're like eternal children.
Well, there's one that seems to be an adult or that's like taller.
Yeah,
I don't like the fucking design of these things at
how
all.
big that one is.
They look way too human.
It's just like a woman cosplaying an adult woman.
It's like the maitre d' at the Mario restaurant or something.
Yeah.
I imagine they're all workers, and then there's one that's like the queen. Like again, just
Okay,
like
like bees.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's like the
Yeah.
queen toad.
Yeah.
And then also they're kind of like coming on to Mario, but they're children.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are kissing him a lot and being kind
Yeah.
of weirdly romantic.
Let's talk about the ending. It's just such it's an amazing bait and switch, but it sort of reduces the central theme of the entire thesis to ashes, because the whole thing is supposed to be about like the power of love, and you can get love to do anything. And then at the end you realize that the really fucking weird dog, which was just like it was the most, apart from maybe the grocery store setup stuff, was the most out of place thing in this entire universe. You were just like, what is this thing? It doesn't look like anything else. It doesn't look like a fucking dog. It looks like Nobby Boy or something.
Yeah.
Like all these circles. And then at the end it's like, oh yeah, the prophecy said that, a fucking hero with a little emerald around his neck will save me. And then the fucking dog turns into this like child, looks like a little Playmobil toy person. Uh-oh, it's killing the dog.
It's actually worse than that.
Oh great, something weird's gonna happen, isn't it? Something weird's gonna happen with the dog.
Oh no. Is he
The dog's
prince?
a fucking dude.
No.
The dog's a prince. No.
No way.
Oh my
Fuck
god.
off.
Cucked by the dog.
Oh, not again.
I don't believe it. Oh my god.
Oh wow. I love you now.
No. He was cucked by the dog.
Yeah.
His real fiance is the fucking dog.
It's the
that was-
blue dog that screams.
that screamed like a guy. And then Mario's like, shit, I got duped into doing this whole thing. I got to go back to my grocery store in El Paso. The moment when he turned back human was like not when Bowser was already defeated. Like
It was the crystals. You're right.
it was. So it's like, did he just decide, all right, time to be fucking dude again?
He's been a
Coast
dog
is
for a
clear.
while. This has been like a running problem. Is that like, yeah, my boyfriend turned into a dog like 3 years ago. We just haven't been able to like figure it out. And then Mario comes in and they're like, oh shit. Yeah. Also, wait, you're right, because she had the crystal that Mario had. Peach dropped in the beginning when she came through the TV.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And then in the end, because Princess Peach and Haru were reunited, he became not a dog, but he already had the crystal the whole time.
He did. Yeah, presumably he had the other. So yeah, so why didn't he? Because Mario had the fucking thing the whole time. Like
That's true.
Yeah, why couldn't their true love have turned him back?
Yeah, he could have fallen in love with him.
Yeah.
That would have been
Well, I'm sorry, it's not the same traditional love as like a princess and a dog. I still don't know what, like, the weird liminal space that fucking Gandalf wizard man lived in the whole time.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah, and why did he
was
turn
that-
into like a decrepit mushroom after they talked to him?
Maybe he just turned invisible, and it just so happened that there was a rotting mushroom behind him.
roughly
That's
his
what I
shape.
thought.
Yeah.
I didn't even consider that.
He's also saying, like, yeah, save this princess. He didn't make zero mention that there's a prince, like,
Yeah,
that this is all
that's
you know,
right.
there-
That's a good
yeah.
point. Mario probably would not have
I
done
think
this.
The wizard
The
sucks.
and the
Like,
wizard
it's all
sent the
wizard's
dog
fault.
with him too. So
Yeah, the
Yeah.
wizard was like, "I'm not going to help you." He escaped them to the San Antonio or whatever. get these grocery store managers to help you out.
Yeah. I love the idea. I think probably my favorite thing from this movie is that Mario and Luigi run a grocery store. It's just,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. And it makes just like, because he was a plumber in the original, like they go down pipes and he's
Yeah,
got like the
that's the whole
overalls.
thing.
It's like
He
that's
goes down
part
a
of-
pipe in this movie.
in this movie. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. And it also has no bearing on the plot.
No
it's-
bearing.
It's not like they had to do it to set something up.
Except the granny.
Yeah.
But which is a, road to nowhere. It's just like a gag that comes, and then
No, it's
and
set
then
up
the
and
gag
payoff,
at the end.
man. That
is
was the whole movie. The whole movie was the setup
whole-
for the old lady to come
the
in and
Bowser.
get game overed by
for her
Bowser.
to go, meh, meh, game over.
It just as easily could have been her coming in for a plumbing issue, and then Bowser is the plumber at the end.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
It really makes no sense, but that's kind of the joy of watching a Mario isekai anime. Also, I'm seeing online that it is the earliest isekai anime to involve a virtual video game world.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
This movie beat Sword Art Online. I can't believe that.
this is really the Sword Art Online of the 80s, I would say.
Glad to have watched it. I feel like it does. It warms my cockles because in a world in which we live in, where media properties are so codified, it was fun to experience like a different lens on Mario or whatever. This sort of the Kirkland signature version of Mario, with all its weirdness. Like at certain moments, it looked like the animation from Pizza Tower. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" You don't get that. You get the Mario movie, which looks exactly as you think it would,
Mhm.
and has all the plot points exactly as you think, and all the stuff sounds the same. There was just moments in this where like, oh yeah, shit, he's supposed to make a noise when he jumps. We better put that back in. We forgot.
Yeah,
for
this
like
feels
20
more like
minutes.
the Mario movie based on the Mario that's on a backpack that you find at a dollar store or like at an
Yeah.
airport convenience store.
Lunchbox.
Yes, the lunch.
yeah, it's like the more, because Nintendo is so litigious, and so like when I worked at GameSpot, there were times where I would go to film appointments about Nintendo. Like I think it was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and I would set up the camera to do off screen, and they were like, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do the off screen of the screen directly straight. You have to do it from the side so people can tell it's a TV and you're not doing like shitty capture. Like they're so precise about brand control, and I think that the thing that interests me about old Mario media is that not only is Nintendo sort of like one of the most locked down about their brand control, but also because the old versions of Mario are so distant from what he is now, it's like the more that they try to control the brand, the more power these old weird versions of Mario have. It's like this weird like Taoist reversal where it's like you try to control it so strongly that it like gives it power.
It's like if you like grew up with the King James Bible and you go back to like, Christian texts from like the 6th century, and you're like, whoa, this shit was pagan as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
This is pagan Mario.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is pagan Mario.
Yeah.
Super Mario Oddities is just a trip through pagan Mario history. Thank you for introducing us to the beautiful world of Super Mario Oddities. I'm led to believe that they're not usually as long as this. Is that true? Like, this is kind of a bigger feast of a bigger singular feast than we're going to get next.
Yeah, so this was an hour long. Some of the other stuff I want to watch are like, there's like a 10-minute PSA where some Japanese kids light their house on fire, and Mario and Luigi are the firefighters that come.
Like fucking those G.I. Joe cartoons?
Yes, it is the Mario equivalent of that, because they come and they're like, don't fucking play with matches, dude. What are you doing? But it's Mario.
Pork chop sandwiches.
Yeah, it's the pork chop sandwiches of Mario. So yeah, we there's basically an endless supply. There's also like the Mario variety show where the guy who played King Koopa was like a notorious alcoholic who like chain smoked and was mean to the kids. So this is basically an endless well to draw upon, and I feel it's also like, you know, Noclip is in part kind of like about video games preservation and like preserving the legacy of games, and so I feel like this is in a weird subversive way, there is a preservationist element to it, where it's like we need to remember that Mario was not always the straight-laced mascot. You know, he wasn't always Mickey Mouse. Back in the day, he was a weird grocery store owner.
Yeah, he had to work odd jobs.
Who got cucked by a blue dog
in Albuquerque.
In Albuquerque,
yeah. Peachy-chan, come on, Peachy-chan. Peachy-chan.
Peachy-chan. Peachy-chan.